Hey guys, this is Aziz and it is tech time. Today I'm going to show you how to do a C++ tutorial for how to do loops, and we will include for loops, while loops, and do while loops. So let's go ahead and start the tutorial by going to Microsoft Visual Studio, and let's make a new project, and let's select empty project C++. Let's name it loops, and it is put in the right place. Let's press OK. Let's go ahead and sort files, right click, add new item, and then on C++ file, and name it main. Go ahead and press add, and let's go ahead and create our skeleton by including IOStream, and let's include strings using namespace std and void main system pause just to stop us. And let's go ahead and start with the for loop. For loops, as you say them, is a for loop, and they are used by knowing if we know the number of how many times we're gonna go and loop around. So we open the parentheses like this and open square brackets because it is a function and every function has those. So when you open the parentheses, first we start, where are we starting from? So let's go ahead and create an integer called I and equal it to 0. So that means we will start from 0. Put a semicolon, not a comma, and for loops take 2 semicolons, so this is the first one, space. Now how long is it gonna go? We do I is less than 5. That means it's gonna go 5 times because we'll go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is less than 5, which is true, but 5 is not less than 5, so that means it will go 5 times. The reason why we go from 0 is because most things inside the computer go from 0, so it's a good practice. And to make it add 1 every time we finish, we have to tell it I plus plus. Or if we wanted to do I plus 2 to make it just run 2 or 3 times, if in different cases if we make it different. So it depends what we want. So I'm going to do I plus plus, and just note that if you put the plus plus on the left side right here, it would add it before it finishes the loop. That's why we put it right around here, so it finishes the loop then adds 1. So let's go ahead inside it and write the code. So let's go ahead and do cout I just to show an example, and let's do right in here. Let's see, let's put an end line, so after it finishes the numbers it will display an end line. Let's add a space right in here just to see what numbers did it output. So let's go ahead and run the code by pressing on debug, start without debugging, and let's see right here, you can see that it did I is 0, I is 1, I is 2, I is 3, I is 4, and then it didn't display 5, so it only went 5 times and stopped. Let me show you this in debugging mode. Let's put the dot split right here and press the green button. You don't have to do this, you can just watch it. And let's go in by pressing F10. So I is still garbage, which is not initialized, it's just made. Now I is 0 because we equaled it to 0, and let's go on. Now I is 0. So when we come back again, I is now 1. Now it goes to output it, now I is 2. And so on. It will keep continuing, I is 3, I is 4, and then it will get out of it and do cout and line, and then that's it, because the last time it was a 5 and it didn't do that one. So go ahead and press enter, and let's stop it from right here. Okay, so now let's do a more complicated code in here. let's create an integer, call it num1, and initialize it, and let's create a total and equal it to 0 also. Press enter. Right in here, let's do cout please input a number, and let's do cin num1. So what will happen is we will ask the user to input a number, and they will input a number, and what we will do is do total equal total plus num1. Now this is what I commented on the last tutorial. You can also do total plus equal num1. What this will do is it will look at total, and then it will do exactly the same code as in here. What will happen in here is it will add this number to total. So if total is 0, then the next it will add, if the user enters 5, it will add 5. So the next time it's still a 5, so it will do 5 plus, let's say the user enters 3, 5 plus 3, which is 8, and then it will keep doing that. So I will just comment this line, and we'll keep this line on here because it's easier and simpler. And in here we will just do a we will output total, but before we do that, let's add an end line right around here, so we separate every time we ask the user for something. And let's do cout total, or let's tell the user the total is, so we will tell the total is, and we display the total, and then we'll put an end line. So the total would be however whatever number added it to here. So let's go ahead and run it. Debug, start without debugging. Maybe this will paint a better picture. Let's go ahead and press 5, and 5, that's 10, that's 15, that's 20, that's 25, and the total is 25. So let's go ahead and close it, and I will run this code slower. Now let's put a dot right here, start with debugging, and they are both garbage still. The reason we call them garbage is because the CPU just picks up a number, a value for the integer, and just puts it in there, and it's -8 million or something like that, and that's the number it picks. But after we initialize it, they are zeros. I is garbage still, and now I is 0. And let's go to locals actually, so we keep it looking at all the numbers. And again, if you don't find locals, you can go to view and go to actually it will be in debug, windows, and autos or locals, one of the two. So let's go ahead and press F10. I'm going to press it on the keyboard. So it will ask us for an input. Let's do 2, and let's go ahead and press this button right here. So total plus equal num1, which is num1 is 2. Now total is 2. So let's go ahead and do that again. Now I is 1, and we will be asked to input a number, which let's say 4. So now num1 is 4. So look at this right here. Total is 2, which will mean 2 equal 2 plus num1, which is 4, which will be 6 for total. So 2 plus 4, that's all you're saying. Put 2 plus 4 inside total, the previous plus the new inside total. So press step over, and as you can see, total is 6. Now cout end line, and we keep on going with this. Let's input another number, let's say 6 now, and same thing is gonna happen. It's gonna do 6 plus 6, and it will be 12. So let's see that is 12, that is right. And this time let's input an 8, and let's see what that will do. 20, and now let's input another number, the last number that we will add, because I is currently 4. Now we display the end line. I plus plus I is 5. We cannot do that, so we display it. We get out of the for loop, and then we pause, and then it did. The total is 30. It added all these numbers together. Let's go ahead and stop the debugging from here and close it. So this is the example for the for loop. Now let's comment this code out like that and comment it from here, and let's put 2 enters right here, and now we'll introduce the while loop. So let's do while, just like you say while, and it is like the for loop, a function. So open parentheses, close it, open and close the brackets, and always remember, in here you don't put a semicolon. Also in here you don't put a semicolon. If you do put a semicolon here, the semicolon will stop the loop. It will never go. Even if this condition is true, it will not go because it will see the semicolon. So don't do that. Inside the parentheses we will put a condition. The condition will be as long as I is less than 5. Now we don't have I, so let's create I in here. Comma integer, or just I, because we already did integer, equals 0. So I is less than 0. But where is the I plus plus? How does it know that it needs to add 1? That's the different thing about while. You need to add it right inside the code. Now every code will depend where do you add the I plus plus, but mostly it is at the end. But you know, it's just different codes. Sometimes you need to add them before and the start right in here, sometimes in the middle, depends on your code, but usually it's at the end. So we're gonna go ahead and put it at the end. So let's go ahead and write the same code as we did in here. Cout, please input a number, colon, and then cin the num1, and then do total plus, now we'll do total equal total plus num1. I'll show you that these codes are not different at all. They are the same, except this one is newer than this old way of doing it. And let's go ahead and do a cout end line, and let's run this code by going debug, start without debugging, and here we go. So let's go ahead and do 5, 5, 5, 5, and 5, and the total is 25. So let's go ahead and close it, and let's go ahead and run it slowly. I'll show you what is happening during this code. So now I is 0, num1 is 0, total is 0, and let's go in. Is this condition true? Yes, it is. If you stand over it, it would say I is 0 and 5 is 5. So is 0 less than 5? When I read this while I'm doing an exam or homework or anything, or just reading code, I wouldn't say I is less than 0. I read what's inside it and I would say, is 0 less than 5? Yes, it is. Then go ahead and go in. That makes more sense for you. And let's go ahead and do this. Now it will ask us for a number. Let's do 2. And now total equal total plus num. So you're doing, if you stand over it, it would say total is 0, num is 2, so 0 plus 2 is 2, which will be inside total, and it will do that. Total is 2. Cout, and then I plus plus, now I is 1. That is what it is doing. We call these counters because they just count. Just like when you go to a football game, you'd see volunteers with counters in their hand. Whenever someone enters, they click it once. This is doing exactly the same thing. When it finishes, once you see I plus plus, it will just click once and then goes on its way. And then is 1 less than 5? Yes, it is. Go ahead and do this. Cout cin num1. So let's go ahead and do 3, and 2 plus 3. So the reason why we do this one is it remembered the old number, which is 2. Now 2 plus 3 is 5, so it will input 5 in here, and total will still stay 5 the next time we go in. So go ahead and do that. I plus plus, now I is 2. Is 2 less than 5? Yes it is. Go ahead and do this. Now let's input another number, 4. Now the same thing happens, it's 9, and I plus plus, and is 3 less than 5? Yes it is. Go ahead and go in. And here let's add a 5, and now it will do 9 plus 5, which is 14. Let's go ahead and do that. It's 14, and I plus plus is 4. Is 4 less than 5? Yes it is. Let's go ahead and go in and put cin num1. Let's go ahead and do 6. So now it will go to total, which will say 14 plus 6, and then it will do that addition. It will give us a 20, and then it will add 1 for I. Now I is 5. Is 5 less than 5? No, it isn't. So it will get out of it and go to the next code, which is displaying the total and pausing it. Now total is 20. Let's go ahead and press stop debugging right here. So now that we know how to create a while loop, always remember, whenever you're creating a loop, don't forget condition and a counter. You always need those in a while loop. In a for loop, you will need where do you start from, how long do you go, and a counter. Always need a counter. For the while loops, they are used for loops that we don't know how long do they want to go, and we'll just run it and see how long until we finish. So let's comment this code out too, right here, by pressing right here. If you don't have this, you can go to edit and go to advanced and comment selection. So let's go ahead and put 2 enters right here. Now we will introduce the do while loop. Do while loop, as you say it, always these codes are made as you say it, as you think logically of them. Do while, just put do, and let's start the bracket right here. I like the brackets this way, so you see where does it start and where does it end, and open and close the do, and inside it, in here we will put the code, which is cout please input a number, and cin num1. Now total plus equal num1, and cout end line. Now where's the while? Because we did say do while. So how does it know how long this is gonna go? Now that's the difference between the while and the do while loop. Do, and then you put the while right in here, you open it and you close it, and you put a semicolon at the end. The reason for a semicolon at the end is so it stops it, and you need it right in here. So let's go ahead and type the code right in here, which would be I is less than 5 also. And what we will do is do I plus plus right in here. So in here, this do while loop, it will first go inside, does this code, then add 1. It won't add 1 right away. So that is the difference between while and do while. Do while will be used for codes that we don't know how long do they want to go, but we want to make sure that they go through this code at least once. It will do it, then decide if it wants to go again. Okay. So let's go ahead and run this code and see what happens. Let's go ahead to debug, start without debugging. So let's go ahead and input 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and it did it 5 times, and it gave us an output. So let's go ahead and close it, and it's doing its job. So let's go ahead and see what's happening inside the code. Let's go ahead and start debugging, and now it will output please input a number, cin a number, we'll put 5, and it will do the addition right here, cout end line, I plus plus, which I is 0, so it already did it once. Now 1 is less than 5, so it will say yes it is. So go ahead and go back again, input another number, let's do 2, and now I is 2, let's go ahead and input another number, and it will go again, and you're following this arrow, by the way. So it's going I plus plus 3 right here is less than 5, so go ahead and do that again, and input another number, and go ahead and keep doing this. 4 is less than 5, yes it is. Go ahead and put another number, and now 5 is not less than 5, so it will get out, and then do total and then pause it. So it will give us the total is 20. Now see how many times it went? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's go ahead and stop debugging. But is it really going 5 times? It's not really. So what really happened is it went through the first time by doing do. It will always go once, and it will then decide if it wants to go again. Because of this I++, when we will go in, the first time it will check it, I will be 1 because we start with 0, then we reach this code, then I++ is going to be 1, so it will say 1 is less than 5. So it's actually starting from 1 because of the do, is doing it at least once. And to show you that, we will make I is equal to 5. Now I is equal to 5, I is less than 5. That is not true because 5 is not less than 5. So it should stop. Let's go ahead and debug. So now it went in because it's a do while loop. It will go once. So let's wait for an input 3, and let's step over, and it will output an end line, and I is now 0. It will be red now. I is 5. Is 5 less than 5? No. It will get out of it right away, and it will give us an output which is a 3, and you can stop debugging right now. So as you can see that it did actually go once before it checks if it is true or not, and always remember you have to put a semicolon. So to give you just a review of all of these loops, do while loop is to go in at least once, then check if the code is right or not. I'm going to change this to a plus plus, and to check if the condition is true or not, and you always have to have a semicolon here and a counter right inside the code. Always remember any loop needs a counter and a condition right in here. While loops will have the condition right in here and the counter right inside it, and it may not execute all the time. For loops, they may not execute all the time, depends how you make them, and it is for knowing how many times do we want to go. They start with how many, where do we start from, how many times do we go, and a counter as usual, and the output is right outside here. So that's your introduction to loops. There are 3 of them. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask me, and just submit your question to indiedevelopment.co, not .com. You'll find under the forums, you can just ask the questions, and don't forget to subscribe on the question so you get your response right away. And if please like and subscribe, and right in here we can take this away because we never use strings, and there's no need for the string library being used if we're not using. Thanks for watching.